What's up, folks? Dan here from BeGameCharacter.com for Q&A Tuesday, which is my favorite day of the week, as you know. I did not get to have my favorite day of the week last week because I had to take a week off. And again, I apologize for that. Just lots of stuff going on. I'll tell you about it when I can. Can't right now, but I'll tell you about it when I can. So because of that, we're going to have 2 rounds of questions. This might be a little bit longer than usual because on my taking a week off notification video that I put up on the YouTube channel, I said, hey, if you want to ask extra questions now, you can. I'll do all of them next week. So we're going to jump right in. And the question from 2 weeks ago was, what is your favorite way to work out? My personal favorite way to work out is lifting weights. I like to lift heavy weights. That's it. That's my favorite thing to do. I also started to appreciate running a bit more. I do enjoy bodyweight stuff as well, and I Ninja Warrior training that I was doing a couple years ago. But yeah, my absolute favorite has got to be lifting weights. So let's go and see what everybody else's favorite is. Starting off, we've got Mohammed Kanoon who says, hey Dan, my favorite way to work out is to always start off with a bit of cardio. This is if I'm doing a strength day, either skipping or jogging, then I stretch, then I go into my workout depending on my schedule or the Be a Game Character schedule or whatever I feel like working out on. My question is, if you were given the ability to learn and fully master the skills of a career, what would it be? This is one-time use and it's forever. Career can be anything, like surgeon, lawyer, MMA fighter, social justice warrior, etc., as long as it's a legit real-life career. That's tough. I mean, I went to school for video game design. I would still love to be a game designer. I'm not really in a position to do that right now, but I would still love to be a game designer. Beyond that, I think I would pick something in the IT related field, programming, network administration, something like that. Just because it's becoming more and more relevant every single day, and I'm into it. I just don't really, never really fully took the plunge. I feel like if I go back and do things over again, that might be something I would do. But if I'd really, really have my druthers, I'd be an astronaut. So that would be a career, but usually astronaut comes after something else. So usually you're an engineer or you're in the military or you're, some form of scientist or something like that. So astronaut would be kind of secondary career, I guess, because usually you don't just start as an astronaut, but that's what I would end up as. Moving on, we've got Storyman09 who says, hello, Dan, what's up? Oh, and Mohammed, thank you for the question. That was a good question. I liked that a lot. Storyman09 says, before I start answering your question and asking my own, I just want to say how awesome it is that you do these Q&As as well as how weird it was to me hearing my username read aloud the first time I posted the question. You're welcome. I enjoy doing them. Now, I'm used to it, but it's cool hearing you get to my questions. My favorite way to work out. Oh man, I work out a lot, and I'm a firm believer in heavyweight training, there you go, with bodyweight exercises thrown in between sets. Another major component for me is martial arts training, and as I know a number of training exercises that are excruciatingly demanding, and I complement all that with pretty consistent cardio and a lot of bag work. In between it all, I use bits of yoga and dance stretches of all things, thanks to my sister. Hey, I did ballet for 3 years, to help me cool down and stay reasonably flexible. Sorry, that was a long answer, and I may have missed the point completely, but you did ask what are the things I'm passionate about. That's excellent. Passion is good. I like it. Question for you. What's a normal day or session like at your karate dojo, and what are your drawing skills like? This is a two-pronged question. Karate dojo, normal day, like a weekday. We've got 3 levels of classes. We've got the Pee-wee class, which is ages 3 to 6, that runs for half an hour. And then we've got the junior class, which is 7 through 13 or so, which runs for an hour. And then we've got the teens and adults class, which is, 13 to 14 and up. And that runs for another hour after that. So you got 2.5 hours. They're all back to back to back. We tend to shift kind of like 3 different areas of focus. And it's all dependent upon the instructor who's teaching at the time. Usually our 3 areas of focus are kata forms basics technique drills, sparring, kumite, self-defense fighting type stuff, and judo type stuff. Those are kind of the 3 areas that we go through. Usually every class involves some sort of a warm-up, you're stretching out, you're running around, stuff like that. And then usually we'll move into techniques and stuff like that first with basic drills and stuff like that. And then after that, it's onward into kata or fighting or something like that, depending on what the instructor wants to work that day. Me personally, I don't teach on the weeknights right now because I work on the weeknights. I teach on Saturday mornings. And Saturday mornings is a little different. It's an all ages class, so like you've got little kids all the way up to adults, and it runs for an hour. So in my class, the general idea is to just keep moving for the most part. So I will get there early. I'll set up the mats on the floor. So we'll run through. We'll do running and basics and break falls like all at once for like our warm up and stuff like that. The break falls is the judo end of things, and we'll go through all that. And we'll usually keep it pretty physical to get the blood moving for like the first 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll move into whatever I'm focusing on that day. Usually it's either judo or fighting. I don't work that much kata on Saturday mornings, partially because of the wide age split, and also partially because they get a lot of that during the week anyway. So that's how my class goes usually. As far as my drawing skills, they're not great. I like them, but they're not great. I wish I was better at drawing, and I don't think I'll ever be better at drawing because if I had time to work on it, I think I could be like any other skill, but I've been drawing a lot lately, and I challenge you to at some point to do a doodle of yourself doing something karate and saying it's Dan from BGameCharacter.com. That way I figure you're either secretly really, really good or probably pretty bad. Either way, bound to be entertaining. That is it. You may have an excellent week. And as a somewhat eccentric yet arguably wise man keeps telling me from week to week, live boldly, change the world, continue to be awesome. Thank you, Storyman. Great questions. I will think about doing that karate doodle for you. We have a live question coming in from Facebook Live. That question is from none other than Steve Barnes, a.k.a. Barnier West, a.k.a. Big Arms Barnes, who says, if you had to describe one of your workouts with a movie title, what title would it be? Wow. Huh. Big Trouble in Little China. Moving on, we've got Your Name, who says, that's a tough question, Dan, no fair. Alas, I'll answer it. My favorite form of exercise would have to be power building coming in first. It's both being strong and looking good, so it's a win-win. And second would have to be cardio like swimming, running, or biking. Third place would have to be martial arts. I don't formally train at a school, but practicing and wrestling are always fun to do. So there. Answer your question and still showed love to all different styles because they're all important. My question is, what is your definition of a superhero? I ask this because I've been watching a lot of Marvel shows lately, and something rarely addressed is the line between vigilante and a hero. What do you think of this? In comic book world, not real life world, obviously, but in comic book world, every superhero is a vigilante. If you're fighting crime and you're not, on a police force, you're a vigilante. I don't see any line between the two from a legal perspective. From an ethical and moral perspective, I guess the definition would have to be helping people over hurting people. Like, Batman is a straight-up vigilante. Batman's a freaking billionaire. If Batman really wanted to clean up crime in Gotham, he'd stop putting a costume on and going beating dudes up. And he would start funding education initiatives and homeless outreach and programs for treating drug addiction and psychological problems and stuff like that, because let's face it, the vast majority of his enemies are really messed up in the head somehow. So if Batman really wanted to end crime and do good for people, there's a lot of things he could do with his giant piles of money that would be a lot more effective than breaking legs at 3 a.m. As far as like a definition, like a superhero type person, I would say Luke Cage in the TV shows is pretty close. Comic books, a little less so, but oh, hang on, camera moved. But although even now in the comic books, yeah, but in that he's a lot closer to his, he's more like an ordinary person, just kind of going out and helping bust up, various organized crime syndicates and stuff like that. But it's tough. It's a gray area. It's definitely a gray area. I don't know. Second question, what do you think of Luke Cage as a character and as a show? I think we just covered that. By the way, Luke Cage is our new character over on Be a Game Character. The post went live at like 2 in the morning, so if you didn't see it, I don't blame you. But it's up. It's there. We're doing Luke Cage. The workout will be up on Thursday. Skills post will be Monday next week, and the psychological breakdown will be Thursday next week, as is our usual schedule. So go check it out. I'm psyched. He's cool. I like Luke Cage. I haven't finished the Marvel series, that Netflix series yet, so do not spoil things for me. I'll be cross. Moving on, we have Benrex777, who says, "Hello, Dan. No, you guessed wrong. I do have a favorite workout." Excellent. My favorite workouts are the push-ups. They're the only workout I occasionally do outside of my parkour training. Hey, push-ups are great. They're simple, they give warmth, and they are silent and don't attract a lot of attention. Also very true. Now, a question for you. If a trained modern soldier and a trained martial artist would fight together, which one would have the advantage? I would say there's a couple of factors that go into this. First off, engagement range and tools of operations. Let's assume they both have no weapons. They just have their hands, okay? And let's assume that they're already relatively close to melee range. Now, we also have the question of whether or not the modern soldier has been in combat or not, because that can make a big difference in a lot of ways, and what kind of combat they've been in. No amount of training in a dojo is going to prepare you for actual real-life events, like surviving through real-life events is going to prepare you. So, if we're talking somebody just coming out of basic, versus somebody who has been studying a good martial art for, half a decade or whatever, I'd give the edge to the martial artist probably in hand-to-hand combat. Although, typically the stuff taught in basic training for hand-to-hand combatives in various branches of the military are very no-nonsense ways to very quickly and efficiently disable someone. Whereas martial arts usually come from more of a sport perspective. So again, it's a mindset thing more than anything else. I believe the soldier has the better mindset. However, the experience that the martial artist has would take the edge, assuming that the soldier has not already been in some extended form of combat, I would say. Because mindset is the most important thing in a street fight, in my opinion. And of course, with all my martial arts stuff, this is always in my opinion thing, but whatever. I like your comment on MMA versus traditional fighting style. Have a nice week, Benny. You have a nice week as well. Moving on, we have another question from Big Arms Barnes, who says, hot dogs or hamburgers? Are they sandwiches? Both have bread and something in between them. Hot dogs are not a sandwich. Or if they are, they're an open-faced sandwich because their face is open and they're looking at you. Hamburgers are a sandwich. Hot dogs are only a sandwich if, like me, you grew up in a house where bread was basically everything. Your bread was your hot dog roll. Your bread was your pizza crust. Your bread was everything. So if you grew up in a life where you had your hot dogs cut in half and stuck on between two sandwiches, and you smooshed the bread together, stuck on between two sandwiches. If you had a life where you cut the hot dog in half, you put it between two pieces of bread, that's a sandwich. If it's a hot dog just sitting in a roll, not a sandwich. Sorry, just the way it is. Maybe an open-faced sandwich, I might allow for that. Maybe, but... Moving on to the questions from the Taking the Week Off video. We've got BenRex777 again. Hello again. Says, I hope it's not a family problem. Take your time and don't overwork yourself. It's not a family problem in the sense that I have problems with my family. It is a family problem in that it's something that involves my family. If that makes any sense. Again, I will clarify more as I can in the future. For once, I have a fitness-related question. Awesome. How do I train balance? A few times a week, I do balance a little by making a handstand or walking on an edge. Do you have a way to speed it up, or is it just purely training? What you need to do is you need to find different ways of working your balance beyond just those. Those are good, and if you continue doing them, you'll work balance for those specific instances. But this is the thing, is that learning how to balance on your hands better will not necessarily make you better at balancing on a very thin edge. Learning how to balance on a very thin edge will not necessarily make you better at balancing on something that wobbles around or something like that, like a Bosu ball or something like that. learning how to balance on a Bosu ball will not necessarily make you better at balancing on a skateboard when you're doing skateboard tricks. So the best way is to just find different methods of engaging your balance and do them. So standing on rounded objects, standing on objects that move or have wheels on them, finding out creative ways to balance in your hands outside of just handstands. Look up, I believe they're called planches, although I've only read it, so I don't know if that's the proper way to pronounce it. But it's Planche. Different ways of just engaging your balance skills. You know, you're training your inner ear and your body coordination. That's the overall theme of balance. But you have to train it in different specific circumstances because your body requires different cues in different circumstances. I say this because I actually went to school at a school where one of the physical fitness electives you could take was circus arts. Swear to God, that was the thing. We had a professional clown that worked for the school that was also he was also an extremely accomplished videographer, so he taught the videography classes, but he also started a physical fitness elective where it was circus art. So I learned how to balance on, one of the big balls. I learned how to do tightrope walking. I learned how to do all kinds of fun body balancing methods and stuff like that. And that's the real thing, is that while some balance skills translate between different activities, you need to practice different individual activities overall. And the more ways you can engage your balance skills, the better you'll be at advancing your balancing abilities. So that would be my recommendation to you, is just find different ways and things to balance on. What else is good? Catwalks. Look up catwalks on rails. You might already know about it. It's a parkour skill, but it's when you're on all four limbs and you're walking in a straight line. So you're on like a rail and you're like one hand in front of the other and one foot in front of the other. Those are great as well. So nice, very good question. I like it a lot, and it's something I don't think it's something we addressed before. So thanks for asking. Have a nice week, Benny. You have a nice week as well. Any more questions here? Here we go. Project Ronin HD says, "Hey Dan, I have a question. I can't get sandbags, so for the Kratos workout, what would you suggest?" Okay, so I already posted a link to my sandbag construction tutorial, which I'm not sure if you're looking for sandbags individually or you realize that you can just make your own if you just go buy some play sand from like the hardware store. But if you can't do that, what I would say is, I'm assuming you have very limited means then. So what I would say is go outside and find heavy things to lift. Go to a park, go to the woods, something like that. Find rocks, find tree logs, whatever. Find whatever you can to adapt to the Kratos workout lifts as best you can and go with them. Until you can get the means of constructing your own sandbag, I would say go ahead and check that out. Just, whatever you got around, make it work. But find something heavy to lift and just do the exercises with that until you can make the sandbags. So excellent question. Thank you, Project Ronin HD. I think that's it for all of our questions, unless we have any more coming from Facebook Live. Anybody else on Facebook Live want questions? Ask them now or forever hold your peace. Okay, you're out of time. So that's it for this week's Q&A Tuesday. Thank you for watching. Again, I apologize for nothing last week, but we're back in force this week. Going Superhuman will be up tomorrow, and I hope to have actually another video for you on Thursday. David Paskett says, "What's up, Danny?" Hello, David. Nice to see you. And actually, you're not David, you're Dave. It's just the Facebook thing pops up with your full proper name. So good to see you. Hi, how's it going? Dave is a martial artist I know from years and years and years ago. We've known each other for quite a while. Another black belt. So thanks for stopping in, Dave. Good to see you. That is it for today's Q&A Tuesday. So thank you all for watching. As always, remember to live boldly, change the world, and continue to be awesome. Bye-bye.